means what? Okay, we go over this every week. Genesis means what? Beginning. Exodus means what? Exit out. Leviticus means law. Boy, y'all getting good. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. Numbers means what? Numbering of the tribe. Deuteronomy means what? Second law. Genesis, foundation or beginning. Exodus is when they exited out of Egypt. Leviticus is when he gave them the law. Numbers is when they numbered the tribe. Deuteronomy was the second law. And Joshua has to do with the conquest of Canaan and the division of the land. Whenever you read Joshua, you must read it from a perspective that it has to do with the conquest of Canaan and the division of the land. Last week we left Moses as being, last week Moses was dead, Israel's emancipator, and Joshua was still lamenting the death of Moses. And God basically tells Moses to get up and do what he has been commissioned and assigned to do, and that was to lead Israel into the promised land. Please understand that Israel now is on the brink of going into the promised land. They are camped right at the Jordan River, and on the other side of the Jordan River is the first city known as Jericho. And so what Joshua does in chapter 2 is, first of all, he learns from the mistake of Moses. And it's always good to learn from your mistakes. Let me say that again. It's always good when you can learn from your mistakes. Moses had sent 12 spies out, and 10 had come back with a bad report. Only 2 came back with a positive report, and as a result, only 2 got in to the promised land. So instead of sending 10 out, Moses sends 2 spies. Are y'all even in the house? And when the spies get to Jericho, and here's where I'm trying to go today, I want to introduce some and present to others a woman by the name of Rahab. Everybody shout Rahab. When the spies get to Jericho to spy out the land, they arrive, Miss Whitfield, at the house of Rahab. I want to talk today about how to move from being flawed to favor. How to move from being flawed to being favored. 3 things I want to look at. I want to look at Rahab's flaws. I want to look at her faith, and then I'll look at her favor. Her flaws, her faith, and her favor. Everybody say that with me. Her flaws. Now shout this with me. I got some flaws. Now I know, I understand Ann and Mary. I understand Ms. Edna. It's hard for some people to fix their mouth and say, I got some flaws. But for one time in your life, would you please say, I got some issues? This woman by the name of Rahab, the spies go and stay at her house. Now, there's something you need to know about Rahab. The first thing you need to know about her is that she probably was a worshiper of idol gods. She's from Jericho. She was an Amorite, and they worshiped idol gods. But so the first thing you need to know about her is a flaw is that she served the wrong God. But and the second thing you need to know about her flaws is that she is a prostitute. Listen, I hate to put it bluntly, but that's the way the Bible goes into great details into telling us that this woman was a whore. Okay, don't y'all turn me off. I'm not making it up. The text says, and Joshua, verse 1, the son of Nun, sent out to Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came to a harlot. The word harlot there is a derivative of the word prostitute or whore. She was a seller of her body. Reverend Stokes, she sold her body to the highest bidder. Her body was her commodity. Her body was her asset. So she would give men sex and men would give her money. And interestingly enough, as we move through the Bible, Reverend, as we move through the Bible, Pat, we will discover that this name stuck with her even in the New Testament. And that bothered me because it seemed to me like you ought to be trying to get rid of labels. Like God ought to be trying to get, that God should be wanting us to get rid of labels. But there is a reason why. If you read chapter 2, verse 1, it refers to her as Rahab the harlot. If you read chapter 6, verse 22, it refers to her as Rahab, come on y'all, the harlot. If you read Hebrews chapter 13, verse 31, it calls her Rahab a prostitute. If you read James 2:25, it refers to her as, seemed like at some point they would have dropped the harlot and just called her Rahab. And it bothered me because I want to know, Lord, why do you continuously allow the Bible to refer to her as something that she used to be? And the Holy Spirit said the reason I consistently, Old and New Testament, call her Rahab the harlot is because I don't want anybody I don't want anybody to lose sight of the fact that if I could reach way down and pull up a prostitute that serves an idol god and show her favor, I can reach way down and show them favor. Rahab is represented somebody in this church who people have given up on. And can I help you? When people give up on you, when people shut you out, that's when God bring you in. Rahab, Reverend, well, she represents somebody whose life is messed up. I mean, you've been trying, you've been struggling, you've been wrestling, you've been fighting, trying to get it right, and you can never get it right, and your life always seems to be a mess. They gave up on you because of some sin you committed. Church folk don't want to be bothered with you because you've had 2 or 3 husbands. You've had maybe you've had too many abortions. Maybe your sexuality ain't comfortable with church folk. This represents somebody who is a mess. Can I help you? God can take a mess and turn it into a miracle. Her life is messed up. She is a prostitute. Folk had given up on her. Basically saying she'll never amount to anything. Because when all the other lights were on white bright, when you passed by her house, it was a red light. Letting everybody know who I am and what I am. Called the red light district. One of the biggest whippings I ever got was when Mama told me to put a light in the outside on the porch. And I messed around and put a red light in there. Mama whipped me and said, don't no prostitute live here. Rahab was a what? Say prostitute. Not only did she serve I'm telling you, this woman is flawed. Not only did she serve strange God, not only was she a prostitute, but she was a liar. So I call her a lying prostitute. Pastor, now how you can peep in that woman's house and say she a liar? Well, let's look at the text. Spies go to her house. Verse 2, and it was told the king of Jericho, saying, now I don't know who told it, them nose and Negroes. So the spies are in the house. I don't know why, Monetta, they stayed at the prostitute house. I don't know why. Maybe they stayed there because men come and go and wouldn't anybody suspect anything. I don't think they went there to have sex with them because this nosy crowd would have told the king they in there having sex with them. That ain't what they said. They said the men came to spy out the land. Verse 2. There came men hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the land. Can you imagine if two children of God was on God's assignment and they just happened to spend the night at the home of the town hall? Child, God ain't got nothing to do with that. Child, God ain't tell Reverend Deacon to stay nowhere. Reverend them just doing what they want to do, man, you know. Everything ain't always like it look. Okay, y'all ain't, okay, y'all, I said everything ain't always like it look. She lied, and you do know according to Psalm 101:7, a liar not going to tarry in God's sight. Y'all in the house. You see, God, my brother, was able to look beyond what Rahab was and to see what Rahab would become. Are y'all in the house over here? You see, regardless to where you are now in life, this is where you are is not where God has destined you to be. Okay, I need to wake y'all up. Grab your neighbor's hand. Shake your neighbor and tell your neighbor, don't get comfortable here. Now, because they wouldn't encourage you, shake that hand and say, neighbor, this ain't where I'm going to stay. I ain't going out like this. Come on, tell them, say, I ain't going out like this. Bump me and see, man. Ain't about going out like this. This temporary. Ain't about going out like this. Jeremiah 29:11. Write it down. Read it when you go. It says, I know the plan that I have for you. Do you really think when your mama and your dad got together and God allowed them to birth you that your destiny was to be where you are? Do you really think your destiny was supposed to be a street walking crackhead? Do you really think your destiny was supposed to be broke, busted, and disgusted? Do you really think your destiny has been that God has destined you to be frustrated, aggravated, depressed, oppressed all the time? He says, I know that I know the purpose I have for your life. Somebody shout with me. I don't need but 2 or 3. God got a purpose for me. And as soon as I find out what the purpose is, then I can find my place. Because write it down, my purpose defines my place. If my purpose is to be a doctor, my place is in medical school. If my purpose is to do hair, my place is in cosmetology school. If my purpose is to be a lawyer, my place in law school. I wish some of our folk would come back on vacation and receive this. This ain't your purpose. This ain't what God purposed in you when you were born. God has greatness in you. God knew that Rahab was going to go from flawed to favored. I'm preaching it better than y'all talking. Maybe y'all on live can receiving this. Okay, everybody say she was flawed. And say, I got some flaws. Jeremiah 29:11 said, man, I birthed you to bless you. The men go to Rahab's house. Rahab lied. And the king of Jericho sent, verse 3, unto Rahab, saying, bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out the country. Verse 4, and the woman took the men and hid them, and thus, and came the men unto, and she hid the men. Everybody say she hid the men. What did she do with them? She hid them. Then came the men and wist not whence the men. So the king sent the servant and said, look, where the men? Now notice what she said. And it came to pass. Now where are the men? Okay, get there. Where are the men? Hidden. Who hid them? Rahab hid them. And there came about the time, she said, and it came about the time of the shutting the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. The men went out. No, they didn't. You hid them. She lied. And y'all know a lie don't care who tell it. And mess don't care who carry it. It says, no, and she's going to keep lying. Whether the men went, I don't know. She said, but I tell you what you do. If you run after them before the gate's shut, you may be able to catch them. See, I like the Bible because the Bible is honest. The Bible doesn't try to dress folk up. The Bible just lets you see them just as they are. The woman lied. Now, now that doesn't give you permission to lie. Lie ain't gonna tarry. When a liar come before God, God gonna do this. Lie ain't gonna tarry. All right, what did she lied? Everybody said she lied. She lies about it, and she said, now, and verse 6 says it, but she brought the men up to the roof of the house, hid them in a stalk of flax, which she had hid upon the roof. Verse 7, and the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords, and as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate, and before they laid down, she came up to them on the roof. This woman was flawed. She lied. That's her flaws. Watch her faith. Write it down. Write it down. Let me give y'all, let me say the right one. Never allow your flaws to negate your faith. I don't care how flawed you are. I need you to keep walking by faith. Because you can be faithful and yet flawed. Okay, did y'all understand me? Just because you flawed don't mean you can't walk by faith. Because God has established an order that says, I've got to move when I see faith. Okay, and I'm going to prove it in a minute. God, regardless to how flawed you are, when God sees faith, he has to move you from flawed to favor. Baby, you like that? Let's look at her faith. Everybody say her faith. Am I helping anybody? Now, Romans 10:17 says, faith cometh. Come on. Faith cometh by hearing by the word of God. All right, let me exegete this text. Look at verse 10. Verse 10. I'm sorry, verse 9. She's talking to the men. Faith cometh how? You see, what you hear ought to shift your atmosphere. What you hear ought to shift your expectation. Oh my God, y'all, man, bump me and see. Y'all too quiet. Coach, I said what you hear ought to shift your expectation. Blind Bartimaeus sat by the side of the road, and it was when he heard it was Jesus that he started crying out, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. What you hear ought to shift. When God spoke to you today, and said, I can be flawed but still favored, there should have been a shift in your atmosphere. When God spoke to you today and said unto you, regardless to how flawed you are, don't lose your faith, there ought to have been I wish somebody would just say shift in your atmosphere. Your whole demeanor, your whole attitude should have changed, and you should have started shouting and said, God, you talking to me because I'm flawed, but I need some favor. My challenge to you today is to first of all, don't allow your flaws to mess up your faith. Okay, look at her face. First of all,